Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 16660 Southwest Queen Mary Avenue here in King City. We're located at the front of the home. We're just about 3 feet or so in from the front left corner of the house. The doorway is right there. So this is just, if you're standing in the doorway, it's to the left of that. So we have a 3-inch cast iron clean out here as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running, and we're going to zero out the camera counter right here at the base of the cleanout. Here we go. It transitions here at about 2.5, 3 feet in over to 6-inch concrete. Right off the bat, there's a lot of aggregate rock that's starting to show through, and we do have a root intrusion. The roots aren't hanging off the pipe. They're stuck to the pipe wall, but that's a root intrusion there at 4 feet. Which is not terribly surprising, seeing the condition the concrete pipe is in here. And I'll show you more of that aggregate once we reel the camera out. There's a lot of rock showing through. Doesn't mean that it might not still function to a certain extent, but when you start to get a lot of aggregate showing, for one thing, it's very, very rough, tends to catch debris as it comes down the line, and you don't have a smooth bottom there anymore. You have all these little divots and troughs for that water. So let's say with the sink running, you have a 1/4 inch of water in a smooth pipe, and you have all those spaces worn out between the rock, that water level goes down. So you've got more friction due to the aggregate, but you also have less water that's helping to carry everything. Now, there's a lot of danglies hanging from the top of the pipe. Most of these here are looking like cobwebs. And I think this is our main lateral connection here at about 35 feet. There's a lot of buildup right at the end of the line here. That makes it hard to get a good view of the main connection. I think that's where we're at here. When if I pull back a little bit, you can see that it looks like there's an opening there into another line. We'll go a little bit further here. If we are in the main at this point, we should see other homes tying in. And right there, that's where the neighbor ties in. So yeah, 35 feet, that is where the main lateral connection's at. Unless this is on some type of party line, which in King City, you get some kind of funky party line connections. We have another pipe coming in right here at 50 feet. We're going to keep pushing out here to see if this connects into a main lateral. Because we've got tie-ins here, and we haven't hit an actual T connection onto a main, this might actually be a party line setup here, so I would definitely be contacting the city. Party lines are fairly prevalent here in King City. Now I'm going to stop there. It's getting really tough to push the camera through the line. I'll keep going here just a little bit further and I'll locate just a second. I just don't know that my camera's going to make it all the way out to the main street here. Another tie-in there. We're either in a party line setup here, or we've already passed into the actual main lateral system. We're going to pull back to 35 feet and let the line drain out. Alright, we are here where it looks like we might have a Y connection. I'm going to let the line drain out completely here for a moment so we can get a better look at this opening here, and I'm going to go locate and see where we're at. Okay, located the camera head successfully. We are out into the street at this point. And we should be getting fairly close to this line draining out completely. But yeah, if you look off to the left there, we get a really tough view of it because of all the debris sitting in the flow line here. And this thing is about completely dammed up. You can see how much junk is built up right here. But if you look over the top of that, it looks like we have a Y connection coming in here. So my guess is this is the neighbor directly to the right of this home. The other house at the very end of the little cul-de-sac, or a little finger street here. That's at least what it looks like. This is a circumstance where, with the amount of connections we're seeing coming into this is not like a standard T connection onto a main. This might actually be the actual main here. It might also be a party line setup. This big giant ridge of debris here needs to be removed. It looks like it's completely damming up the pipe here for the neighbor's stuff to come down line. At least that's how it looks anyway. But that's definitely a Y connection there, some type of junction. And where I've located this is over near a steel plate in the road. That might be a clean-out connection there. This is as far as I'm going to really take any locates or markings or anything like that. Everything beyond this point is a shared line. So you're going to have to contact the city and find out whether or not they deem this a party line setup here, or if we're actually at the main lateral connection. But we went past, I think 3 or 4 different tie-ins. So it's this. Once you're into the line here at this point, you're picking up all the other houses. But if that's a neighbor's line tying in there to the left of the camera, it's going to be having a seriously hard time draining out because there's a giant dam that's being created by all the debris from this house coming down line there, or a combination of this home and the other house. Now, we're having some really heavy rainstorms today. Any paint marking I put down is gonna literally be gone within a couple minutes of me doing it. So, in the event a trenching repair takes place, I can come back out and relocate at that point. It looks like we've got roots coming through here at 23 feet. Now, because of the condition this pipe is in, it's very rough. There's a lot of aggregate showing through. We now have a root intrusion out to 23 feet. This is not a line, in my opinion, that it would be worth doing spot repairs on at this point. It's ready to be updated. You're just gonna, if you spot repaired this, you're just spot repairing a line that's in the process of falling apart. It's very old and in rough shape. What's hard to tell right now is there is some debris in the flow line area. We have more roots coming into here at 22 feet as well. But this is one of those setups where you might be able to do an epoxy liner on it. Is once you're through some of that debris buildup there, the line continues to drain fairly well until you hit that Y connection at 35 feet. So unless we see a whole bunch more standing water coming back in, this would be a pretty decent candidate for a pipe liner. Especially considering a lot of this line is underneath concrete. And we do have a toilet flush coming down line here. And especially back towards the beginning here, the concrete is even in rougher shape. We're going to give this a minute to drain. Alright, so here's a root intrusion here at about 3 feet out. We've got roots at 3 feet, we have roots at 22 feet, and at 23 or 24 feet. There's 3 that I've been able to see and count here. We could have a couple, more than that just haven't intruded very far yet. Sometimes you can get really teeny tiny finger or root strands coming through that stick to the pipe wall, and they're very hard to see. But given the fact that we have roots right here at the start at 3 feet and then also at 23 feet, I would recommend a update to the sewer line from the cast iron transition out to at least 35 feet. And again, because the way this is configured here, I don't know if at 35 feet we have actually hit the main lateral connection or if that is just a party line connection. I've seen houses or setups in King City before where there are 4, 5, 6 houses partied together. So that's why you need to contact the city and find out, because you just don't want to just start updating this thing without finding out whether they are okay with the configuration. You might update a line to find out that it's a non-conforming sewer line setup. Anyway, right here we do have some standing water. The reason I'm coming back into here is I'm just trying to check this line to see if we've got any bellied out stuff, and I think the biggest reason we have standing water here is we have roots in the flow line and debris in the flow line. I think if you were able to get all that out of there by hydrojetting it, something of that nature, you might have a really minor amount of standing water left over, but unless you've got at least 5 feet of pipe with at least an inch of standing water, in my opinion, it's worth still doing the liner on it, even if you retain a 1 foot section with a 1/4 inch of water. That's not in my opinion, not a good reason to then go tear up the concrete and dig down to it. So, given how well this thing drains out, I would recommend doing a pipe liner on it. That would allow you to avoid having to dig the line up. That is, of course, if the configuration as it sits is okay. If the city deems this a party line connection, sometimes you have to run your own independent line all the way out to the main street. So, definitely contact them. But at this point, due to the 3 root intrusions, the roughness of the pipe, we've got a lot of aggregate rock showing through. This is not a line I would recommend spot repairing. I would recommend a full update from the cast iron transition right here out to at least 35 feet where it makes its first connection. And again, if you guys need locates done, give me a call back and I will certainly do so. There's just too much rain today to put paint down on the ground. That we've got, there's cars everywhere. There's a dumpster out here. There's just not hardly anywhere where I can even put paint markings. But they're gonna wash away as soon as I put them down anyhow. So that's the beauty of the pipe liner, is if the current configuration's okay, you won't have to dig anything up. After the repair is done, I recommend a rescope to make sure it was done correctly.